Hi, you're about to watch a demonstration of XBert, the AI audit and process automation tool. This chat was live streamed as part of the Community Supporting Community Crushing COVID-19 initiative. Maybe tell us where you're based and also what XBert does in sort of a couple of sentences. I think a lot of people here do know, but for everyone listening in, that would be sensational.
Yeah, for those that don't know, we're based in Coffs Harbour. We used to sort of be in Sydney, but when we decided to go hell for leather building this up, we thought we'd get out of the rat race. Glad we did now. And build a product so you didn't have to sit in traffic, because it takes a lot of hours to build a product like this one. So that's good. So XBert, what are we doing? You know, we started off being a product to sort of help business owners have more visibility and over the quality of the numbers and the accuracy of the bookkeeping work. It's sort of pivoted towards, the best tool for bookkeepers to be able to use, to be able to save a bit of time, find all these little call them mistakes or errors, or from people in your team or outsource people, and patterns and anomalies in the books, and raise those to the surface to sort of reduce a lot of the manual processes that they have to undergo every day. And it's starting to pay dividends and save them a lot of time. So that's sort of where the journey started, with all these experts, and XBert stands for Expert Business Alerts. They're the little audit algorithms. If I didn't already say that, say it a lot. And we sort of pivoted into sort of more of an automation tool as well. So it's sort of like, well, why start your day? Why end the day with XBert? Well, how do we make a tool now that you can actually start your day with XBert as well? So I know Jolene starts her day with XBert now, so she might be able to chime in later. Let you know how it's going for her. So that's sort of a little bit of background. It's probably best we maybe jump in and.
What's making the dinging noise? Is that you making the dinging noise, or I don't know what's making the dinging noise? Okay. Do you have the ability to take the screen there? I've given it to you, I think.
Okay. Yep. Here we go.
Wait. Haha, good website.
Okay, let me just kill everybody. All right, what we got here? So where I am right now, this is we're in XBert Connect, and that's what all the bookkeepers and accountants use. So you'd sign up for an XBert Connect account. What we see here are the list of clients that we have, and so they'll all be tiled down here. Don't want to talk too much about this page because it's becoming redundant very soon, but it's a gateway to sort of get access to each one of those clients quickly. And the little red panel at the top sort of says how many experts have been found in a particular client and risk amount associated with those. Here's the place to, let me just swing that a bit. There we go. Here's the place to sort of assign your team to a particular client, and assigning a team to a particular client enables you to, some of the settings in the system will automatically set tasks and things up to those managers. So I just had to refresh that for a second. One of the things that we have been working on, and I might jump into it first, is starting your day, and it's on the process status board that we have. So, and I know discussions with Michelle many months ago about whiteboards and things like that sort of gave us the idea of, like how we have to make this super simple and really visible to see across all your clients, across all your processes, really easily. So we developed this process status board. Across the top here, you've got your clients. Here you've got your unreconciled and expert amounts. Any unreconciled bank transactions here, you can simply click through on that number straight into the bank details pages of Xero. Any overdue items. And down the left here, we have processes. So processes, after talking to so many of our customers, we sort of derived sort of 16 that sort of map back to your day-to-day work that you do now, and also map back into areas of Xero. And they can all be customized in the settings. So here you can see we've set up an ad hoc setting or a fixed asset setting. There's nothing to do here, it's ticked off. Any one of these little circles. You can sort of hover over and it'll say, okay, well, there's a large GST activity to do there, or there's a task to do. And you can click on that number and it'll take you directly into the client account. We've got this sort of reporting period selector at the top of the screen. It's got little green dots for when you know you've got nothing to do, and little red dots to work out that there are items to do in here. Just knowing that you're always sort of working behind the schedule, and things can pop up in the past. So somebody might have gone in and changed a transaction here back in October, for example, and it's alerting me to the fact that there's something for someone that needs doing. Filters on, turn those off. So if we just go back to June. I've looked in June here and you can see that these have turned red now. So I've got a few overdue items that I need to finish off. There's two. Oh, we've noticed some little lock dates have changed in there or not set. So we need to work out what's going on there. But any one of these clients, you've got great team visibility, so you can click on Team View, and it'll switch the page out to all the people in your team, and you can see what they've got to do, and you can change the reporting period selector for any given time frame for those people. There's nothing to do today for these guys. So if we were to go from here and sort of jump into XBert, or sorry, before we do that, I guess it's probably important to say, well, people use XBert two ways, or one, either or ways. Sorry, let's start again. People use XBert to fix the issues that arise that XBert finds, but they're also now transitioning to the task and automation system that falls into these processes. So there's this whole template and management system within XBert where you can create all your templates, whether they're one-time templates, daily, weekly, fortnightly, monthly type templates. And you can set those to create them here. You can add step numbers on these things, put them in group names if you've got additional groups within a process, assign them to one of your clients or all of your clients, put all the details that you need to put in, leave it unassigned, and they'll go to the client managers or assign it to a particular person. Add your process against the task, so it'll fall under the process. Tell it when you want it to show up on your dashboards and on your process status boards. And you can set those as recurring, daily, weekly, monthly, set end dates, and put due dates on things like, let's just say, want that finished 3 days after the start date, or month, end of month, however you wish, and you'll just save that. And based on all the clients that you've assigned that to, it'll start to fall on your boards and on your process status board as those dates come into play.
Can I ask you a question at this point?
Yeah, sure.
What sort of number of clients is it going to work well with? Based on that screen there, I could see the number of clients there.
We can sort of scroll through these. We've got clients that have got, we've got some. I know we've got a client that's got 20 customers, and we've got a client, probably the largest one that I've seen in there is over 200 clients at the moment. That was a great problem to have. They broke our system, so we had to redesign this page. And now we've got some pagination down here, so you can sort of click through.
Absolutely, thank you. Does anyone else have a question at this stage? Otherwise, I'll turn off again and pass back to Troy. No, excellent. Cheers. Thank you.
Yeah, so the idea from here is, look at this one. We'll jump in here. We'll click on this number 8. It'll take me into this client. And now we're on our XBert board and task board where all the experts and tasks fall for you to work on. For the purpose of this, you can see there's work to do in these red dots, none in these. And I can look down my process list down here that sort of marries up to what we have on the process status board as well, and see that there's nothing to do here. Got 2 banking items to do here, other bookkeeping tasks here, pre-work, things like that. So all the experts actually get mapped into the processes by default. And if you change the processes to suit yourself, then you can just remap the experts to fall into those processes. Some people just go, we're just going to have an experts process and all experts fall on that process. But it's a nice, smart way to have these fall in, because you like to sort of work through your clients in a certain order. So to give you a sort of example of what type of experts there are, I might just find them all. One of the things XBert does well is we've deeply integrated with the Australian Business Register. We pull all that data down into our warehouse and we marry it with all kinds of information like transactional data, sizes of transaction, and we bucket them into certain lists that help make our experts work. But they're also monitoring all the GST registration statuses and whether or not you pay GST to these suppliers or RT suppliers, and alert you if they've deregistered in the time that you've raised a bill, or they've cancelled their deregistration, or they're now no longer registered for GST, and we'll alert you to them. So here's some sort of examples. Let me just reorder this.
Now, someone's requested when you're going through this to slow down so they can see the screen clearly. Do you have any questions, Deb? I know that you've posted a few things there. Do you have anything that you want to jump on and ask, or is it just generally slow down?
Yes, it was me that said slow down. I'm a bit slow. I'm just trying to, Troy, I'm just trying to have a look at actually what the type of risks and things that it's bringing up is, because I'm trying to understand how XBert can help me to see what the issues are. And I was trying to work out, when you went through templates, what you would use templates for. So is it only for assigning it to team members, or is it used to request information from clients?
Good question. So all of the above. The template system is and I might let Jolene sort of step in. She might have some thoughts around how she's set up templates for her organisation. Are you there, Jolene?
Sure. Hi. So we use template tasks for we started off with the bigger ticket items. Like, let's say we have a process that could be 10 odd steps for doing somebody's superannuation, or for doing a BAS or an IAS, or whatever, there's a standard process for each client for those bigger ticket items. So we created template tasks, which then reoccur as often as they need to. So if someone's on a quarterly BAS, they'll occur quarterly. We did them for JobKeeper as well. And we're slowly starting to do it for everything. So payroll.
So they're basically a checklist for you.
Essentially, yeah, it's moving our checklist into a template task. It means nothing gets forgotten. It means if steps 1 to 3 get done by the bookkeeper and then a manager reviews it, we can set it up that way. So everybody knows what they need to do as part of the tasks.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, and and Jolene will assign those to her team, depending on the client. So Jolene's clients might be set up with a manager across half of her clients or quarter of her clients, and then another team member across those. And those templates can just automatically assign to those client managers to look after those projects. And to answer your other question, there are things like you might want to chase up a client at the end of the month, depending on how frequently you sort of talk to your clients. And you might set up a task to say, give me any outstanding invoices that aren't entered into the system, anything you're asking for. You create a ticket for those type of things, and you can invite the business owner into the product. Invite the business owners into the product. That's a bad example. So if I was to invite users, I can invite these users in, and they will, based on the settings, I'll just show you that. Based on these settings, will only see what you want them to see. So you can hide all the experts and all your tasks from the business owner in here, and they'll only ever see what you assign to them.
What do you mean? Like, what can you assign to them? Sorry, I know I'm a bit dumb. Sorry.
So I'll run through it. So let's just look at experts here. So what I might do is I'll quickly run through these types, and I'll pick out a few that you might assign to the business owner. So not everything's based around things that require you to fix, or information that more particular to your job role. Some of them are patterns based on the business, and they're great to sort of talk to the business about and sort of boost your own advisory role and look, add services to your business and create more engagement with your clients. So they, let's say, they don't say, what the hell, why have you charged me extra money for the work this month? Because the expert helps you actually show a lot more added value without having to look for it, I guess, is the key point. So here you can see like a bill's been raised with a supplier and they're not registered for GST. I've got a bill raised with a cancelled supplier, so they might have cancelled recently. I've got a payment to a cancelled payment. I've paid them and they've cancelled their business, so that's something that you should be chasing money back, especially if they owe you goods. So that's a good idea about how to you'd want to ask your client. And what you do, you click on the little assign button down the bottom here and just say Alex is the client. We're going to assign that to Alex, and we might put a comment on there and go, let's chat. That'll get updated. I've signed that to Alex. Alex now has this on his own board. He could filter by my items, or he'll just see these things if he was a business owner.
Roy, sorry, it's Deborah again. Are we just looking at one client at the moment?
This is one client.
Okay, and when you click on assigning it to a person, is that only the users for that client, or is that all your contacts?
That's the users only for that client.
Right, thank you.
Yep. So you can put a deadline on things. You can just go bang, put a deadline on it. You want it due by then. You can chat about things within each one of these experts. So think about, rather than emails flowing in and out of your inbox from your business, you can talk on a ticket item right here, and everything's just collated together, and you've always got record of it. The same with just talking with your internal team. It's great to sort of talk to your internal team, ask questions about some things that the expert might find. You might not be sure that they actually are an issue, and you'll need to sort of liaise with either your team or the business owner to work out what to do with them. So payment to a supplier not registered for GST. Business has got incorrect GST status, and that might have been not the case yesterday, but it is today. It's looking for large activity with customers that are not registered for GST, or you haven't put an ABN against them. How do you know that you should be paying GST against them? Expenses with a cancelled business. You might have created an account that's not meant to have GST in it, and you've just put some transactions with GST on them. We'll alert you to that. Things, just even simple things, smaller things like GST registration is required if you're dealing with small customers. Invoice raised, cancelled customer. We look for duplicates, so duplicate invoices raised, paid, bills raised, duplicates paid. Just incorrect ABNs. You all know the Bunnings story about everyone uses Bunnings ABN. Duplicate contacts to help you get there and merge them quickly. And the product machine learns over your data over time, so it gets smarter over time. And these are two good examples of sort of how that works. It's found a transaction, it's been put to other revenue account, but it's predicted that it should have gone to software subscription. So why did this happen? Why is that just an oversight? You're too busy to do it, or is someone trying to hide? In my past, someone trying to hide their personal expenses in the books. All right, so it's good to sort of get in there and realise what that happened. And having messy account reconciling is obviously not good for the business, because they want to try and make smarter decisions on accurate reports. And if the reports and spending categories are all over the shop, they're not going to be able to make the decision to either employ people under certain divisions of their business, and etc.
Yeah, absolutely. Can I interrupt you there, Troy? Michelle Grisdale is madly answering questions in the chat area. Michelle, are you interested in jumping on and just summarising some of the questions that have been asked there, so we can everyone can hear them?
Sure. I think there's really two sides to XBert, and there's the people that want to use XBert for all of these amazing experts that notifications that are going to alert you to things that you need to watch, and that is just magic. And then there's the other side that is relating to the processes, and we're trying to get that all in one place. I can understand how some people may want to start with the experts and then bring in the rest of it later. I can, because it might be too big of a task to change over, but the experts are just worth their weight in gold.
Thanks, Michelle. Yeah, so there's many of them. We'll skim through them, and we're on a mission to have 100 of these algorithms. And some individual experts do multiple things. And we're working really closely with all our users. We send out a list to all our users of the up and coming. We've got a list of 60 that people have sort of requested, and we put those we send it out to you and get them in a favourites list. And we sort of start working on those first. Just skim through a few. It's about lock dates. Why did that lock date change? Month-end journals missing, inactive accounts, overdue bills on outside average behaviour. So that's a good one to share with a client. It could be. And
the thing is, you can turn these experts off. So if it's an account where you have nothing to do with when they pay their bills, you can exclude those experts so that they're not clouding up your dashboard.
Yeah, so you could, a smart thing to do would be, we're going to look at this one and go, okay, there's nothing for me to do here as a bookkeeper or an accountant, but there's something for the business owner to do. So if I had gone into the settings, I could create a for client process, and maybe I've gone, okay, I'm going to change that process to for client, and then I'll assign those to the client, or just even remember to do those at the month, just bringing them up in a phone call discussion at month end. Okay, so things like that is a good way to handle the ones that you sort of don't need. The product looks for unusual activity, anything that's sort of abnormal that we sort of flag it. It could be that you've got your favourite customer, you're billing $100 a week, and all of a sudden you're only billing him $10 a week. The system will actually flag that and go, hey, did someone leave a zero off that? That would be a pain if it was $10,000 invoice. We'll even tell you when your accounting system's getting lonely. That's sort of good for managers to see that they might be paying someone to look after the books for them, but they're not doing it.
So Troy, there's a question about all these experts that are showing up, and the question is, do they all show up? Like, is the dashboard always this cluttered, or do they only show up if they need action?
No, they only show up if they need action. So every single hour, experts scanning through the Xero data, and when it finds something, an expert pops up. It's purely that simple, right? Now, here's a good example of a GST one. I'll sort of run you through how it works. So it's popped up because there was a transaction, say yesterday or an hour ago. It's been reconciled, and there's GST problems. And it's got a quick ABN lookup button that goes and does the search for you. So you can double check it and go, yep, expert is right. Get that out of the way. And then I can just hit the Resolve Now button. So you've got the Resolve Now button on the front ticket or in here. That takes me deep into Xero. Oh, I knew that was going to happen. Give me 2 seconds.
While I'm doing that, does anyone else have any questions?
There's a question about resolving. When you hit resolve, it links you to something, whether it's the ATO or Xero or Myob or whatever, but you can also just file things to make them go away.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, look, can we see your code? Oh, I guess it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter.
Oh, good. Demo account.
You need to check the 30-day things to keep it going.
Oh, I've got too many accounts. So here you can see it's taken us straight into this contact record. So now I can just update the ABN status in here. Once I've done that, my expert will appear as resolved. I'll show you that in a sec. So one of the other good things that Expert has is while you're in Xero, is a browser extension that you can add. Now, what this little baby does is follows you around Xero, checking if there's any experts, and it marries up with the data that you're looking at, and says, hey, there's a problem here, you should fix it right now. One of the other great things that you can do here is think about you've got a big team, or you're paying, or your clients are trying to manage the books themselves and they're making a bit of a mess of it. You can sort of see, you can look in here and go, why have you done something like this? You could simply just create a task from here and ask your client, assign it to your client and ask them to fix it. All right, and they'll end up on their board and they'll get a notification for that. So that's a great
tag.
That's a great little tool to use, especially with those clients, like I said, that are making a mess of the books and you're not really paid to fix them up. So that's a little XBert browser extension. So yeah, so once I would have resolved this one, let's clear that. It would appear like this here. It'll say resolved, and then I can just file that away. Or I can also say in the settings, file any resolved experts away immediately or after a certain amount of days, just so you can make sure that they've been resolved.
So this week I had one where I had 2 subcontractors who had gone over the thresholds, and XBert notified me that they had now were registered for GST.
Right, fantastic.
Saves a lot of time.
There you go. So that's how an XBert works. And then the functionality of the tasks that fall onto your board from your templates, or the ones that you can just create an ad hoc task anywhere, all fall on here and they all work in the same fashion. So let's look at what tasks I might have. So you can sort of see here are 2 JobKeeper things that were sort of set up for demonstration purposes. There's step 1 of JobKeeper, step 2 of JobKeeper. They've all got details section in them. You can put subtasks in them and use them the same way by assigning people or putting due dates on them. Even though the due date usually falls on the task from when you create it. But if you create an ad hoc one, you can turn it into recurring tasks in that client on its own. What else can we show you in here? I guess we also made experts sticky with the client by building sort of smart little snapshots. You know, a lot of tools have got, you know, little insights that give, you know, nice detail to the customer about numbers that they want to know right then and there. But unless the numbers have been gone through and audited, you know, it's sort of like how accurate are they? So we like to think our experts are a little bit more accurate because we're looking at patterns and we're also putting unreconciled things in these numbers. And we calculate simple things that sort of business owners want to know, like weekly earn rates. It's got special algorithms on it, weekly burn rates. You can click on a lot of these. You know,
Troy, can these be customised?
They can't at the moment. This is one here. So if you look at the ATO liabilities, that's probably a bad example. So if we just over here, I can change clients really quickly. So let's try and.
Deb, they can't be customized, but you can turn off whether the client has just the snapshots or has access to all of this if you decide to invite the client in.
Yeah, that's right. So, so I'm in a different account now. You're right, I've chosen something that's got no money in it. But this is a good one, usually has a list of recurring monthly spend items, right? So we're predicting what looks like recurring spend and we're just reminding the client of what they spend on a regular basis.
So can I say, so this screen here, that snapshot screen,
yep.
That is a standard snapshot screen. So for some clients, weekly, I can't remember what it said, sorry. You're very quick. Here it says weekly earn rate, but for some people it might be monthly that they want. For some people, you know, it might be daily. How do we, like, that can't be modified, or is that the same for every client?
It's something that's been worked on in the background about modifying these things, definitely. I guess one of the big ones, you know, the current ATI liabilities to pay definitely doesn't work for everyone because we're just putting these accounts out of zero right now, and people are obviously creating their own accounts to put like ATI liabilities in. So it's not a real representation of most clients. So we're building a little bit of a rules builder for you to be able to tailor these, and with many more. And again, we've got a list of the snapshots that we're sort of building, and we're, you know, ordering those in list of priorities based on
And Troy, this screen before, when I meant about tailoring it, do you have to have all of these on your snapshot screen, or can you choose which ones are relevant for that particular client?
That's another settings feature we're putting in place very shortly. Yep.
Thanks.
But that said, Deb, they like to hear your wish list.
Yeah, for sure. Like, this is exactly what we want to hear. I know, I hope to think that Jolene has asked for a few things, and some of her colleagues, and we rapidly try and get those things in. Might have broken a few things in the mad rush, but yeah, we're rapidly trying to get things into the system as quickly as possible. But it's to the point now the list is getting very large. So what we try to do is send out that list to people, the featured list, and sort of say, okay, this is what we're thinking of putting in next. Is that the priority and XBert for you? It's quite tricky, because we've built quite an extensive product that's for the business owner, and the snapshots are for the business owners. Really, they're the numbers for those guys. And some clients don't invite business owners in at all. Some do. Some businesses just sign up to XBert on their own and invite the bookkeeper in. So it's a vast range of feature requests that we're working on. Priority are building experts. But look, there's a lot going on behind the scenes, and I don't want to give too much away, but there's some great stuff coming out soon. I'll give you a little bit of a sneak peek of something in a sec. But yeah, look, it's exciting times for XBert, and we want to be the tool that is built for you, because you were the ones that told us what you want. So we really want to hear everything that you've got to say about it. There's also let's try and find some data. Switch accounts. Oh, I was meant to have this demo prepared, Heather.
It's always the way. You always think you've got it,
Yeah.
and something happens.
All this, obviously, this company's not spending and they're not invoicing. That is the way. So yeah, I won't keep clicking around, but there are certain charts that we build, and we didn't want to be a charting show these little charts. And again, they were just built really these initial ones for the business owner. Simple things like just show me the overdue bills, what it looks like, what money will be due, overdue invoices, profit targets, things like, to beat your best month on record. That was your best month on record. And it's a little giddy up to say, okay, you want to beat that again. We try and work out your profit and loss based on all your unreconciled amounts. Because we're looking at those transactions and we try and machine learn about where they're going to go. We do a little cash flow forecast, example there. There's also an activity feed in the system, so you can sort of track what's been sort of happening, like who's been assigned an XBert, has someone commented on an XBert to you with an @ comment. Those things will appear here, and you can get instant access to those here.
Sorry, can I ask a quick question, Troy? So can clients look at XBert and assign tasks to their accountant and bookkeeper as well?
That's right. Yep, totally. Works both ways, and that's sort of how we built it. The whole premise is businesses need better advice, right? They need better advice, and they are not the master of the books. They're not. They're too busy spending their own time running the business, and running the books is not their forte. But we, as we understand it, I say about 70% of all XBert customers that are bookkeepers and accountants, 70% of their clients are actually trying to manage and reconcile the books themselves, right? So they're making a big mess, and there's a lot of questions to be asked. Like, what do I do with this? Tax money's come back into my bank fee. Where do I put it? Do I create an account, or should it go into liabilities? Or there's a lot of those sort of questions. So to answer your question, yes, it's built for collaboration. It's about working better together, build a better relationship with them, and help them with getting on with their work and giving them smarter advice at the same time.
Troy, you mentioned that this stops the email back and forth, but how do I know if a client's assigned something to me, or how do they know if I've sent them a request?
Okay, so On the screen we're here now, you've got an activity feed. And up here you'll see a little number 1, which means somebody's assigned something to you. So here you've got something that's been assigned to you. And you can also set in the settings an email automation to go to you for everything that gets assigned to you as well.
And what about to them? How do they know?
The same way, they'll either get an email. I mean, they're probably going to leave the email settings on and they'll get an email that'll just click straight through to the task.
Okay.
And they get here, they'll turn up and assign that to
Right.
us.
Thank you.
So just picture that they're going to be in here and they just get defaulted to their own items, my items, and they'll just see the items that they need to work on. That makes sense. Okay, what's next? You've got lots of little tools, actions. You can file everything in view. Some people that don't want to work on those outside average behaviour invoices might just search all those on the screen and just file all those at the same time. So I might just want to file that, and that's gone. So just imagine there's 10 of those on the screen that I just don't want to deal with. I can just file those and just file them. And I can go into the filed area anytime I want and see that. Check the activity on there. In the settings and on the Connect dashboard as well, there's a little expert review page. And what we built this for is if you choose, you get the option to when you sign up a client, ask them to pay for the subscription, or you can pay for it yourself. And we built this to sort of say, that really is, you really do get return on investment. These are all the things that an expert might have found. You can see in here, and anything with ticks on them is something that you've gone in and actually fixed after the fact that we've found them. We sort of add up all the risk amounts against those. We sort of tally them up and go, we've found all these items and you might not have found them in time or before a headache really started. And so we sort of go for the cost of expert. It really is worth its weight in gold. And it's, if experts were just say 15 minutes of looking for something at certain points in time, then at your hourly rate, it's saving you money as well. So that was more of a little gimmicky thing that we sort of put in there to sort of show business owners that they're getting a return on investment in case there's any sort of pushback of you asking them to pay for the subscription. You can click on the Expert Connect logo and go back to the Connect dashboard. The whole idea is we're working through those tasks and get to a point where there's nothing to do. We've got tick boxes everywhere. Everything's reconciled and done. We're going to be adding a few things into here, like someone asked the other day if I can get some instant access to the balance sheet and a few items in there. We're going to be adding those things in here soon. Things like, so if I click on this one, I can just go straight to this, straight into the bank details areas of this to reconcile those items, and many other sort of quick links that we're sort of going to be providing in the system. But that's a pretty quick overview of Expert. Not sure if anyone else, Jolene or Michelle, or I'm not sure who else is on the call that I know uses Expert. Has any other?
On that screen, you have just a few clients on there. How do you move to more clients?
Okay, so a couple of days ago, you would have just scrolled right and left. But just recently, you've got down the bottom, you've got the next button now. Yep. So you can just switch in and out. And what happens if any of these clients have nothing to do, they get grayed out. See if I can find an example. So see these ones here got nothing to do, it sort of gets grayed out. There's nothing to do, but there were items to do, so they do appear. You can easily search for a client right here and just look for that one client. So those clients that have got well over 100 clients, when you've got that many clients, you really just want to sort of see one at a time, or you can choose your client manager. So you might go, I want to see all the clients that Alex looks after or Aaron looks after, and just view those on the screen at one time. You can also just drill down by who has tasks to do. So it might be items for Troy to do. If I clear that out, then I just see, I'll just get the clients that Troy is looking after assigned to. So you've got different ways to sort of drill down in there. We're adding filters across here. So at the moment, if you were to, let's find some data, you can click on here to filter these by, these will be getting filtered by unreconciled and potential risk. So you'll be able to click on each one of these and sort these rows by those numbers, as well as overdue items. All right, just trying to think what else we've got. Yeah, so
I have a question. Carla has asked, can you white label client login yet?
You have always been able to white label the login. So if you go into settings, you're not taking an XBert logo off things, but you can
Look at that photo.
How good is it? I just blew Aaron's head up. It's pretty funny. But yeah, so that's a logo. So I can change my business logo right here and just add in a logo, add that in, and get down the page. Let's shrink my screen.
It's a dangerous game, Troy, clicking random pictures in front of all of us.
Yeah.
Brave. Yeah, so imagine that. So if the business owners was to sign in, it would be greeted by the logo that you've uploaded, and it'll say customized by Centegrity or Rainforest Bookkeeping, for example, right? So there's really no customizing to do. It's just plug and play. But we sort of make it look like that you've made the effort to set those guys up in the system and create sort of custom rules and things like that, which you will have to do in the future when we bring the rules engines in. And you don't want to see an XBert for less than $10, then it won't happen based on some rules. But that's sort of how you can white label or appear to white label the product.
So a number of people arrived late. So I'm wondering if you could just quickly touch on what you showed us at the very start, which was the templates. And I'm also, can you share with us the roadmap for connecting with QuickBooks and Myob? Because I believe that's something that you're looking at. We also have some people from South Africa on the call. So if you want to touch on whether people in South Africa can use this solution yet.
Yeah, we'll start with South Africa. That was the last question. Anyone can use XBert. It finds a lot of things. We are working with customers in South Africa at the moment about prioritising what type of experts they want that suit their region, as well as in the UK and in the US and in Singapore at the moment. So all that's going on behind the scenes. And you can use it anywhere, especially with the task and automation tools and the templates. So it does work anywhere, and we're updating each country as we go as to what new experts will be dropped in region specific. Sorry.
Troy, the question was asked, does this only work with Xero at this point?
At this point in time, yes. We've received such positive sort of feedback from everyone that we just got stuck on Xero. We did start Myob a few months ago, and it's got a little way to go yet, got sort of temporarily put on hold, but is all planned before. Well, the roadmap so far, if everything goes to plan, the roadmap is looking like Myob and QuickBooks is meant to be done before the end of the year. I'm too scared to say how soon, and at this point in time, but yes, we're definitely looking at that. I just sort of left this screen here open. It's a little a task email address. So you can just click on this little box, and when you're in your email application, you can forward any email that you might be talking to with a client, and it will appear on your task board. We also have beta integration going with, I think Jolene's one of the customers using it with HubSpot. So integrating with HubSpot CRM. Not everyone's big enough to warrant using a CRM. Many people are, or many people don't bother. But HubSpot's a great one because you can sort of use it for free, and it's one of the leading systems in the world. And we've set up some little snippets that you add to your emails, and you can direct those emails into a particular client or even assign to a person, and they'll appear up on your board. So some really smart integrations happening there. But yeah, any email in your inbox, you can forward it in. The beauty with using it with HubSpot is that any replies on the email get tracked in the comments section of the task, which is pretty cool. So just jumping back into templates for you, Heather. Yes, look, you can create all your templates in XBert to automate your workflows. Again, the system comes built in with 16 processes. You can customize those processes to whatever you want. The experts are mapped to processes, but if I wanted to create a cleanup task and it's going to be weekly, I can click on those two items and go new template. And then I can just set up whether it's a step or not. I can leave those blank and just say, I'll just be arguing with this, so I'm just going to call it cleanup. Again, sign it to any one of your clients individually or all. Add subtasks, even put a web link in. So if you were to grab that web link right there, stick it in XBert in a task, it's smart enough to go, okay, well, it knows which account to go to, right? So it uses the Xero shortcodes to go to the particular client. So it's a great thing to add to your templates if the task is actually relevant to something in Xero, category in Xero. I think Michelle and a couple of people have asked. There's subtasks, but people want to add some notes on subtasks, so that's coming soon. It's roadmap. Again, look, you'll be sort of pushed to put things on a process. If you don't put things on a process, they end up in no process. And things like emails, if you haven't added a tag to an email that's incoming, it will get set to no process, and then you might later want to change that to a process. So that's sort of the templates, and you can view all your templates in here and sort them out by the categories of, when they drop on your calendars, the recurring periods for fortnightly, monthly.
So Troy, can you explain the difference between tasks, subtasks, and tags?
Sorry, Michelle, say that again.
We've had a question. Can you please explain the difference between tasks, subtasks, and tags?
Okay, and tags. Okay, so think of a tag as a process. I mean, that's what they are. So so these are your processes, and these are what you tag on your tasks. Okay, so
as if you were putting them on Twitter, you do hashtag cleanup. Same thing.
No, when you create a template, you assign a process, right? We're actually trying to get rid of the terminology tag. It's just we're assigning a process because that's how people work. We don't want to make things tricky with tags. And we actually used to be able to multi-tag things, and we've totally simplified the product back to how our users use the product. So when you're on a live template, example, this is Connect ones, don't have them. I was to jump into one of these. Let's make sure I've got a task. I can change the process tag on any one of these items, right? So it will go from, let's find an expense claim here. So we've got this one's in an expense claim. I want to change it, make it go to ad hoc. Right? So that'll move into ad hoc. And I can change those around. So if you're creating tasks and you forget to put a process on them, they'll end up with, in the no process category down the bottom, you to add a process to. And of course you don't have to put a process on them, but it just helps you in your day-to-day workflow. If you work
very simply, like a payroll could be a task, but then you might have 10 subtasks to finish that payroll. And then that would have a process tag as payroll.
Yeah, so
So subtasks are basically the steps of the process.
That's right.
Okay, so I am getting confused though. You said that tags are actually a process, but then you went into a process and said you can change the tags, which blew my mind a little. So I'm a bit confused.
So we'll create a quick template. So if we go new template, the first thing I want to do is assign it. Who's it going to be for? And we'll go new template. Put our web link in. If we wanted to put a web link in it, that becomes the Resolve Now button. I put my text in here. Now I choose whether or not this is a simple task, or I don't want to clutter my boards up with lots of tasks, so I might create subtasks. So I'll add subtasks that need to be done in each one of these items. And I'll set that to go on my board. It's a daily task, it's going to reoccur daily. It's never going to end. And the due date is 1 day after the start date. So if I save that task, it'll get stored in my templates. So you go new template, it's right down in here. It's a daily reoccurring template. I can now see it. Now, it's got a process that's not set. So I can edit that process, edit that task again. I'm going to go back down in here and I'm going to put it in ad hoc. I'm going to save that task again. Wait for the mice to keep spinning. So now if it's down in here, it'll have ad hoc against it. You'll see it's been updated with ad hoc. And if I was to filter my list of tasks out, I should see that now in my ad hoc templates. So here it is here. So I've set a process against it, and it's got 2 subtasks, 0 completed on that task. So now that will fall onto my client dashboards. And make sure I've set this demonstration up. New template. So if I go and have a look at a client now, no, it's made a liar out of me. Where are we? What did I call it? Monthly, daily. Sorry, I didn't check the day I actually made that template start. But it would appear on this board on the day that I set the template to start, and I'd be able to see it by clicking on ad hoc, or I select all. I hope that makes sense. That should have turned up there. I've forgotten the day I had it selected to go. It might have been next month. Does that make sense? So you've got a template aligned to a process, and if you want, you can have subtasks on the template, and when each one of those subtasks are completed, you can check them off.
Yeah, they seem to be understanding that. They're commenting on the chat group that they're understanding that. Could you comment on whether XBert connects to anything? I know that you've mentioned Xero. I know that you've mentioned coming up, we have Myob and Quickbooks Online, and you've mentioned Hubspot, the CRM solution. Is there anything else that it connects to?
At the moment, no. We're in discussions with a couple of parties about looking into data. One of them is had a bit of a chat with Practice Ignition guys the other day, so we're looking to do something with them.
So it must connect with like the business number portal some way.
Yes, of course. Yes. Sorry,
well, so are there other things that it's connecting to in that way? My hair looks awful. It's like gone crazy.
Connecting to the Australian Business Register data.
Is there anything else like that it's connecting to? Is there any other information flowing in?
We're working with the ATO at the moment as well.
Okay.
So
okay. Thank you for that. Now, my other question is, Can you talk to, there's some concern that if they adopt XBert, they're also adopting a workflow and template solution, and do they need to, how is that going to work when they already have a workflow and template solution set up? So if you can talk to whether you can adopt XBert just on its own and it's still going to work for you.
Yep.
And whether, if you are potentially new to this, is XBert going to replace your Asanas, your Trellos, your Jetpack workflow? Is it going to be replacing that?
Yeah, so this is what we touched on at the start. XBert started its journey as a tool to look at the end of the day. It can now be the tool that you use at the start of the day and all throughout the day. You can use experts on their own, so you'll still get all the tools, and you'll still be able to create tasks and templates and things like that if you wish. You know, we've got many people sort of transitioning across from spreadsheets, from Trellos and Asanas and other workflow management systems. But right now, if you didn't want to do that and you want to take your time with just getting used to the product, you can just open an XBert account. All the experts will do all their magic. You'll get your process status board. You can just click on experts here, and only experts are going to appear. And if you didn't want to use these processes, you could go into the settings, and you could update all these processes or delete all these processes and have one process called experts if you want to. And that way you wouldn't need to worry about where they fall in. But they smartly fall into special areas of your workflow, so it's sort of worth leaving them there. If you change any names or anything like that to suit yourselves, you can jump into XBert Automation and just remap them in. So does that answer that question?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, I mean, typically, I guess our users have gone, oh wow, the AI, machine learning, and the audit and the GST checking is fantastic, and they start with that, and then we get the questions, why have we set them up against processes, and then we sort of lead them through. You can transition all your workflows into XBert. The beauty of our product, I guess, is that they're all deep linked into Xero, and why set up a bunch of processes that XBert's checking for you, so you don't have to keep checking manually. I mean, that's our mantra. It is like, we want you to work by exception. You spend too much of your time day to day checking things off and what you need to do by when. But if you have a visibility, like say on our process status board, you can just know what's due. Any experts and issues that arise that will just be flagged in here right now. And the idea is that ultimately, we're building so many experts that a lot of those tasks that you have put into the system will become redundant, because XBert will be checking if they need to be done or not based on us reading the data.
Thank you so much, Troy, for that. Can I ask if people do have questions to unmute themselves and jump on and ask them questions? I think Deborah's going to be first because she's already posting questions in chat. Do you want to jump on and ask that question, Deb?
You know me, sweetie. I'm always asking questions. Hi, Troy. Sorry, I've got my ugly face on today. I was wondering, as I'm an integration, software type specialist. So for me, the really big question is, what does an XBert do? Because you said, how you want us, you said we want you to work by exception. Mm-hmm. So if we implement XBert, my question is, what is it that I still need to do? Because I don't want to be missing something by thinking this is picking things up.
Good question. I talk to Darren about this one all the time. It's never gonna take over your whole work.
Absolutely, which is why, and I mean, it's reasonable to know that it's not going to pick up everything, right? So are there specific situations that are known? I guess the tips and tricks for young players on something that it doesn't do and isn't designed to do.
Well, I mean, JobKeeper is a great example of just, work to be done. You've got to do this work. But, I guess that's been a headache that's just popped up from nowhere. And you've just got many jobs to do. JobKeeper's was a good example of those things need to be done, and you've got to remember to do them, and they're part of your workflow and things that you do for your client and agree to do with your client that you need to be reminded to do. And if you can set up workflows to sort of tell you to do those things, then without having to remember that you've got to do them, that's sort of the beauty of XBert.
So I guess the management of making sure you've got to do something, I understand that, but it's the exceptions, right? So for example, the first thing that I run when I'm doing a business activity statement, for example, is a GST exception report, right? Because I want to see what are the things that haven't done as per the, and you showed it in some of your little experts, whatever you call those little panels, where it was, you've claimed GST for somebody that is not GST registered, right? So that's fantastic. And in fact, just to tell everyone a story, I found last night that a client who should be using Receipt Bank properly and hasn't, accidentally let a rent invoice go through last night with no GST on it. I saw it, questioned it, and it turned out that we've been claiming GST for 10 years on rent that has no GST in it. 10 years. So this type of thing would have picked that up beautifully, right? However, what are the things it won't? So if I rely on it, what can't, and I know that's a horrible question.
Oh, look, there's hundreds of things that it doesn't do yet. The plan is for it to do a lot of things, like we haven't got to them yet in our rapid race, but things that it's probably worth talking about what we've got sort of coming up, like stop checking draft bills, probably stop checking draft purchase orders or things that are waiting for approval, so we'll be flagging those and go, okay, go and check them, right? So it doesn't do the work so much for you. It'll go, these are the things that you do want to check from day-to-day basis. So rather than you create a template for it, we'll go, hey, these draft bills are outstanding. They need to be done. So not looking across all your clients for draft things that need to be looked into. We'll just bring those to the service and say they are things to look at, right? So that's the whole working by exception. You don't want to be diving into millions of clients looking for things to do and there's nothing to do. I guess that's the point. Like the GST one's very, very strong point. Obviously only Australian focused, but we're working on other regions at the moment. Disable those GST reception reports. I was off on a client the other day who said he's now got confidence and he literally doesn't check anymore. He's seen there's been a lot of improvement in the GST and the ABN checking system. How we've improved that is obviously that's a real pain point. It takes a lot of time to manually do that. What we've just incorporated into those checks is all the attachments that get fed in, all the imported data and attachments that go with, say, Receipt Bank and HubDoc. We read those, we do our own optical recognition on those, and we check the ABN number on those attachments. We check them against your contact records, and we check the GST on those transactions that relate to those contact records. So really deep dive in, right? So not just sort of, what's sort of been coded, all these import things, when do you have time to really go and check every single one of those? I mean, it's absolutely impossible with high transaction clients.
That's a really good point. That was something that's really interesting to know. Thank you, Troy.
Yeah, so that's sort of some of the improvements, and we're extending that, into bank details, because we're looking at a lot of fraud-orientated things, So what are the bank details on an attachment? What are the bank details on the contact record? They're the really smart things that we're sort of working on at the moment. We're sort of, ready to roll out the door. You won't need to check donatable gifts transactions anymore, because we'll check that they actually went to a registered company that you can donate to, right? So that's just about to go out the door. We're looking at things in your payroll. So payroll's really only just become available to add-on partners, and we're starting to build experts around some payroll things. We're starting off simply. We're going, okay, well, you've got employees that haven't fully got all the details set up. in the payroll system, right? So we're going to alert you to that, and there'll be a lot more coming in the payroll.
Can I just jump in on that payroll comment? Does that mean we may be able to get some form of auditing tracking on payroll as part of that?
Yeah, so that's look. I mean, you can talk about the award wages and things like that. It's very tricky, especially with Australia's crazy award system. But I think about payments to people that change, right? So we might flag payment to an employee changed for some reason. Why did that happen? They've always been paid this amount. Is it a pay rise or not? They're all the things that where money gets sort of trickled away in businesses by not very nice people. But look, there's a lot coming in payroll. I've got a big list here in front of me. I'm just trying to find the payroll section, but payroll used with wages and salaries.
I think what Belinda's looking for is, can you tell who's changed something in payroll?
Yeah, or even just set up the payroll even as well, because that was particularly pertinent through the JobKeeper and cash flow boost process, where there was, in the term, multiple fingers in the pie, so to speak, when it came to payroll. And it was making it awfully difficult to track who was doing what when. So if we could have a tool that enabled us to literally say, this person set up this payroll transaction, or this person amended the payroll transaction.
Definitely on our list to do. We've recently sort of come out of a development meeting with Xero to give us access to more, what's the word, layman's term, just more, be able to hit their database, their API a lot more regularly, which gives us more information out, because we sort of get limited. And one of the things that we're trying to add in right now is not just payroll and who changed things in payroll, but every single transaction, who did it, right? So with that, you look at the transaction in Xero itself. Maybe another hand to be able to help measure your own staff, issues that arise, and those type of things will help you upskill as well. Reminded me something new that I could show you that I was going to give you a sneak peek of.
Just while you look for that, I was going to say, Melinda, the reason why that's not there for the payroll thing, and what Troy's sort of been saying, Xero don't actually expose that to anyone currently. So they don't track who's done, well, they can kind of see it, but there's nothing in their API that can actually say to someone, hey, this was the user that did it. And part of that stems from Xero historically bought payroll, and they've very much done very little with it since they've bought it. So yeah, it's basically like everyone keeps asking for it and asking for it and asking for it, but because it's something that's kind of been module based put into Xero, for them to adjust it to work the same way as the rest of the program is actually a little bit more difficult, and that's why I think it hasn't really given as much love as it needs.
Okay, that explains a lot then. So yeah, okay.
What we're all trying to get out of them. There's only so fast they can move, I guess. Everyone wants things, and we want to give those to us. But yeah, but it's right. There's only so much they're giving access to at the moment. Contact the something that we're touching, but we're still working through getting endpoints to the rest of those things. Here's something cool that we're sort of working with more enterprise sort of customers, sort of inbuilt business intelligence sort of reports. So we're looking at all the risk data that comes out of Xero, or that we detect, and provide this sort of report. This is a great little tool that as an advisor you can sort of pass on to your business owners. An interactive link, look at things when they happen. Drill down into days, weeks. Look at risks of insolvency, all kinds of things. So we sort of comes half pre-shelved, and then we sort of customize it to the needs of what each.
So this is something that's coming, is it, Troy?
Yeah, we've rolled it out for Bentley's as one of our bigger firms using the products. We're sort of working with Bentley's at the moment with that one, and and looking to work with a few others as well. At the moment, we've built this, and it's about sort of going, okay, well, some of the bigger firms are looking to sort of add just a few components into these things. So it's whether or not those components will be one fits all is yet to be really known. But what you're sort of looking at here is getting towards close to a standard that will become available soon. Yeah. So any other questions?
Jono, did you want to ask your very, very long question?
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's all right. I just thought it'd be better in your words.
I didn't want to interrupt anybody, and I wasn't sure if it'd been asked already. So I picked up Troy, Jono from South Africa. So I picked up on an issue where our GST, or we call it VAT in South Africa, we invoiced an overseas client and we charged them GST instead of it being zero rated. Would XBert be able to flag that based on the the customer contact setup in Xero by seeing that the registered address is maybe outside of South Africa? Assuming that it would?
It should. I'll have to talk to Steve, our data geek, on that one. But I had that same question the other day, and I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure. I can come back to you on that, Jono. But we're definitely looking at the contact record, whether it's overseas or not. So definitely, and that should be flagged that it should have no GST or VAT on it.
Okay, and let's assume the contact was set up to have GST on the contact details, but the registered address was an overseas address. Would it also pick up on that conflict?
Yes and no. Depends on the address is being put in as region specific. I'd have to see the details to be able to really answer how that's.
Okay.
Yeah. It should. I need to check with Steve on that one right now. Yeah.
Okay, great.
The idea is definitely that's what the algorithm should be doing, 100%.
And you said you have got a few clients in South Africa that are using XBert, and you're currently working out some of the details?
Yeah, it's only sort of early days of South Africa. We sort of, for some reason, they're flooding in the last month or so. So I should remember the name. Pierre. He's one of the
Jono wants in, Troy.
What's that?
Jono wants in.
Yeah, wants in. Oh, Jono, give me a call afterwards, mate. Look, I think whether or not you're on the call earlier on, I was sort of mentioning that outside of Australia right now, we're working really closely with other regions to prioritise, put all your pain points in a top priority bucket list, and we're rolling those out as quick as we can to make the product more useful for you. So I'd love to chat further. There you go.
Troy, I have a question just about mobile device and accessibility. So if we were to have our clients, I was chatting with Michelle about this, but currently what we do is we send our ask queries out every month, but we want to be more proactive and get responses throughout as we're doing the work. So we want to assign the task, but we want to be able to see the list of tasks assigned to them for them to complete. And I'm just wondering what that would look like if a lot of our clients operate off mobiles. Is that something that they would be able to, if I said missing documentation for this transaction, they can take a picture, send it back?
That adding attachments to tasks should be finished by now. That's something getting rolled out, should have been done. So I'd expect that to be happening very, very, very shortly.
And just for those that don't know, one of the bugbears of my asks in Xero is that it's once they've responded, that's their answer. There's no fluid conversation about, okay, they answer this and then, we ask for something else. Oh, you didn't quite provide it, or I can't understand what you're saying here, or whatever. It's done and dusted. Whereas from the testing I've done in XBert, it's basically a communication feed, isn't it? If I ask a question, they respond, but it's not actually resolved, or I need to have a follow-up question, we see that feed of information.
Yes, yeah. So, I mean, some people, you've got team chat, right? You've got team chat in every client. You've also got team chat and Connect. So a lot of our customers are using team chat just for the client. So sorry, when you're in the client, they use the team chat within the client for the client, so they can add their commentary in here and have that as a feed. And then you've got your all activity and your my activity, and things will fall in here. This is a demo. There won't be any data in this one, but just like you've got activity feed, okay? So they can see all that, and any of the experts that you discuss in here, all that gets tracked, right? It was all built mobile first, right from the get-go, hence why it's a tile system. It was built to make sure that the users, the business users, would use the product. So right from the get-go, yeah, we built it for mobile phone use, and that's why everything's really designed the way it is.
And is there reminders, is my follow-up question for that, if they haven't answered something? Is there, with due dates, do they get reminders to say, pull your finger out and get this done?
Well, I guess in that case, Carl, like if you assign something to them, assign anything back to them, they'll get a notification. So there's email notifications that you can set up in the system. Yep. And if you do like an app, you can comment in here. I should know this, I can't remember off the top of my head whether or not they're getting notifications from app comments and things like that.
How are you doing that? Is that a website?
Yeah, you can just inspect the page on any website and turn.
Okay, you're inspecting it. I thought you were in a mobile device. I was like, what? Have you brought the screen there? But that's all right. Sorry, I'll go back.
Yeah, so settings. Settings. Oh, it's in the other settings page. Getting more confused. Too many features. Yeah, so I'll double check that, Carla, about whether or not if I send a chat to a person that they can get an email notification or not. At the moment,
because one of our bugbears is, I'm sorry to keep jumping in there, but is around, so we send a zero ask out, right, and we put a due date on it, but then they don't meet the due date, and then we have to resend it, and then they might answer one or two questions and then they don't finish answering it properly, and it's just like we've shortened it to not asking for missing information. So we basically do a complete clean of the file before we send out that monthly ask. It used to be quarterly before the end of the BAS, but now we're doing monthly, and we're wanting to bring that back further and be very dynamic with, if we see something that's not, we haven't got the paperwork for, not even waiting till the end of the month. I want to know about that now, because they've obviously transacted or they've made a decision they need to provide that. So and then would love to be able to see at the end of it, when we go to do end of month or close off end of month, what's left that they haven't actually done, and push either reminders or things like that. So
yeah, so we're working on push notifications. I guess it's been I guess we were going to go to market to business owners, and we've gone so hard with the bookkeepers and accountants that our business side of the product, in terms of the app side, now the product is built as a web product, but it's built as a progressive web app, so you can actually use the product as an app. So push notifications and things like that will be coming soon. So they actually push up onto your mobile phone when things are due. I mean, right now I just suggest that you sort of create some tasks, add some subtasks in for all those things that you need from the clients, those end of periods. You'll have attachments shortly. You can put the due dates on things. You can set up the notifications, actually say, that give me an email when I've been assigned something, and you'll just converse with them and say, look, when you've done it, assign it back to me. And if they haven't done it correctly, reassign it back to them to be able to get that notification that they need to do things.
Roy, I missed it. Does it have reminders?
Reminders, no.
Okay.
Finished reminders. There is something that it was a major feature. We didn't think it was good enough, and we put on the back burner. Where is it?
But Troy, you've got the overdue red buttons on the process status. So not a reminder, but you can see if somebody hasn't done something.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you, Jolene. You know the product better than me.
Using it every day.
Yeah, so here you'll see, look, due in 8 days, 17 days, but in terms of notifications that go out for reminders, you do get a daily email when you sign up about the risk amounts and tasks, but that peters out to once a week. And I guess it's really just getting these requests to know how regularly you want notifications. You know, I thought it'd be great to get that email notification every single day. I can see how many tasks I've got to do, but when you start working in the product, the last thing you want is all these notifications in your inbox. So we sort of swayed against it.
Sorry, it's Deborah again. One thing that I've seen, so just to put some perspective around this, so I sit on the Tax Practitioners Board's disciplinary committee, and one of the big areas that we're looking at is reasonable care. And we work quite closely with the tax office on this. And one of the things that the tax office and the TPB couldn't understand was work papers. So they'd say, all right, you know, Deborah Anderson, you've done this tax return, but you've got very few work papers on this. Show us where you actually asked the questions from the clients that you asked for X, Y, Z, and that you checked X, Y, Z, right? Now, I said to them, well, that's because our systems do everything for us now. It's not like we can just show you a picture of my notebook because we don't use that anymore, right? Is there a way that we can print a audit trail or a tracker of, I guess, the questions we've asked or the things that we've reviewed, so that we can potentially put that on file? And I'm just trying to think, you know, a little outside the square here, because I know that it's going to be something that maybe the TPB are looking at closer, that, you know, is going to be an issue for us.
Okay, so at the moment, you've got an audit trail with experts and tasks. All the commentaries there get stored in the system, so you can always go back and search for that in the system. You've got that audit trail there. We have attachments coming soon to be able to attach those sort of things. So you might be able to create a task called work paper for X and add that attachment to it. So that's a possibility you can have soon. So definitely trackable and doable. Work papers will be able to upload soon into things, but you'll have a lot of those questions sort of asked that are great for an audit trail, and that's why we don't delete filed things. We thought about letting you maybe delete filed items, and that's still on the fence, but we're not going to let you do that.
Yeah, we'll probably just maybe, like, I think what you're saying, Deb, is maybe like a query by client, by date, by, say, tag or something.
Yeah, and so
just report.
Yeah, something that I can print to PDF to put in my client file. So so what the ATO does if they're doing an audit on an agent. So I'm not worried about the audit on a client. I'm talking about the audit on an agent. And they say, show us all the checking that you did for it, right? And at the moment, the hard thing is we're sending messages through a whole range of areas, right? And I'm trying to work out, because the thing is they can come back years later. I was looking at one the other day, and the audits were from 2015 and 2016. And, they said this agent couldn't produce their what they'd been doing. And I said, that's probably because they're not even using that software anymore. So when you stop using a particular software or you chop and change, you lose all of that history. Is there something that we can print that we can put in that client file so that if we get audited, we can go, boom, here is all the due diligence that we did, and cover off our reasonable care.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I was only talking to, I think it was Bentley's about that the other day, because we're sort of building so many features into the product. It's like, okay, what's the next step? And work papers was a big one that he brought up, and it would make sense for us to be able to give you that ability to store that. So I was just sort of making some notes about that here, but we're actually, I mentioned that this page is becoming redundant soon, but you'll still have access to a client details section. So we've got a whole heap of ideas, and adding files and documentation into a client is on that list. So you'll come into the list and you'll click on client details and everything will be in here. So you won't see this in here anymore. It'll become redundant and it'll just be in the client, but you'll have access to all types of things, so that interactive risk report that I showed you will be available in here. You might have stored documents in here. You might have instant access to filed experts, filed tasks and things like that. So it'll become that one-stop portal. So that's great to hear that you're after something like that too, Deborah. So that's definitely on our list to do.
Well, I just think that technology has enabled us to do so many really cool things, but unfortunately the regulatory authorities are still looking for proof that we have done things, and it's becoming harder when it lives in a cloud product. And I'm trying to look at ways that agents can mitigate that risk, and really the only way we can do it is in partnership with people like you guys.
Yeah, well, these are the things that we want to hear. It's hard as, building add-on tools and app products. There's so many sort of products in the market, and you sort of go, how far do you take your product? And, I guess, what we do is we listen and we go, what's needed? I guess if everyone's sort of going, there's a need for that solution, and they're using this solution, then, that's, to us, probably going to be easier things for us to build into the product. So,
well, this is giving us peace of mind that our client files are okay. What we also need, I think, is just that additional level of peace of mind that says my processes are ticked off as being done correctly. And, even like, for example, I use Trello with checklists in it, right? I can't print it to say that I did this checklist for this particular client, right? So I'm screenshotting all this stuff, putting it in, in Dropbox type folders. I'm just trying to think out loud about a way that you could give us peace of mind as well as.
I guess you must have been in my head yesterday, because that's sort of along the same discussions. It's really what we're trying to do with this, within this sort of client details area of the product.
Yep.
Store documentation is to create an audit trail of even your staff about what they did, what they did when they did it, in terms of experts, in terms of your tasks and your processes. So watch this space for that audit trail. So you would feel comfortable having that stored in the system and being audited from.
And if we stop using XBert, do we still have access to historical information, and for how long?
We will be just providing an export tool for you.
Okay.
Dump out all the data.
And if I can back Deb up in that comment as well, like with Asana and Trello, and people moving over different softwares over years, once you move out of like Asana to XBert or something, and someone comes along and asks, where's your checklist? You've lost it, because there's no printable forms like back in the days where everyone used to do a checklist on a piece of paper and add it to a flat file. We don't have that anymore. So people moving over multiple softwares over multiple years, I think that's a really big issue for those audit purposes.
Yeah, okay. That's a good point there, Melinda. So if we provided you a way to export, not just your process that you set up, but the templates associated with those, so at least you've got that sort of.
And attachments as well, because we have that same problem with say like we're using Receipt Bank or Auto Entry or someone like that, if we move softwares and we want to download the attachments, we can't do it then and there. We've got to go to their head office, and it could take them weeks or months.
Oh, Melinda, you can do it with Receipt Bank. Press a button, all out, beautiful.
Oh, they do it now because they didn't do it a while ago. So
yeah,
most places now will do it if they operate overseas in the UK or in the EU, because all of the new rules with GPDR means they have to provide that. So you'll find a lot of places now that never used to offer it will suddenly be offering it. Yeah. Because if they don't, they're in breach of some of the rules there.
Yeah, because I know I was using Receipt Bank there for a while and they weren't, and then I went to Auto Entry and they do allow it, so I haven't used Receipt Bank for a while. So yeah, if they've changed it, that's good.
The thing to remember though is it's always a basic export. So a lot of the time it'll be something like, it might just have every single file with the client name attached to it, but not necessarily any of the extracted data. So I know what you're talking about as well. We had similar things with audits recently where they just wanted to know the process of how we did something, and that kind of ticked the box just to show, well, this is how we do it and this is the end result. But yeah, it definitely needs something to show how it happens to meet that requirement.
Okay. Great ideas in here.
Can I just ask one more thing, just quickly back on those tasks? If you're asking a client to do a task, in Xero, you've got next to a transaction, I think it's that discuss box where you can put a comment in there. Can you tie this task to that comment in Xero? Is that
not at the moment? We don't write to Xero. At the moment, we made the choice not to do that yet. That is something we're talking about, because there's a few things that we could allow you to click a button and just publish some information into them, but we don't do that at the moment. What you would sort of look at that in reverse, you might go into the Xero file, you might cut and paste out the transaction link or the URL for the data point you're looking at and paste it into the task itself.
That was the other option,
Yep.
So could we get a URL, like we do create a task, can we get a URL and copy and paste it into?
Yeah, so like if I was to let's just find that one. We're going to create that one now. I might create a connect task. I'm going to make a task. And we'll just go to test link. So I've made that. Put the link in. Just save that. Puts in here. It becomes this resolve button. That's my link. And I've got instant access back to that. Yeah. So that's how we're doing that at the moment.
But at a transactional level?
Yeah, well, any level. So sort of a bad example of trying to find something, but yeah, any item in Xero. And we're smart enough to sort of go, if you were to put that on a template, if you were to paste, say, that into a template now, the template would cut out all that by default and just send you to every client's contact record area.
Troy, I've just got a question then. Does that work with any URL? So if I was in another platform and I wanted to put a task in here and ask them to resolve something, does it work the same, or is it only Xero links?
No, it works everywhere. What doesn't work at the moment, we're going to update. So I save that. Resolve button should go. Oh, no, I've killed it. The same one. Didn't update, did it? No, fool of me. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's still looking for the Xero thing. I was thinking of our browser extension. At the moment, we were going to make we're going to change the browser extension to create a task from anywhere, not just in Xero. At the moment, it's only in Xero, so we're updating that to go to any website.
You can put links on the Resolve tab though. Like I know my staff will have it linked to a Google Sheet. You sure? That's what we do.
So yeah, essentially the link can be to anything. It doesn't have to necessarily be to Xero. So if we've got them using something, let's just say a point of sale system or payment system or something like that, if there's something within that I want them to resolve, we could insert the link to that to the task.
Yeah.
Just something I've never tested before. I was just curious.
Yeah. So I just put a link to Heather's website on that one. So we'll just go there. So deep work. Still live for some reason. Yeah, so definitely. But the one I was thinking of the deep work is the browser extension. So we're going to be updating that so you can do it from there too. Much handier. Okay. That's awesome.
Any other questions or comments from people who've joined us? I know some people joined us, were still joining us like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, so we've got coming up. I showed you the...
I think the idea originally, I mean, it started at one thing, but the idea is that, you know, we all work in so many different platforms, and it's just too easy to miss things. So if we can do our emails and our task lists in one, if we can do our checks in one, if we can do our process management and checklists in one, then there's not so much room for error and missing and, you know, going to 15 different programs and having so many tabs open.
Well, what's the idea? We try and, you know, it's like list board, you know, it's like dumb it down, you know, dumb it down. There's so much going on every day. It's like, how do we just make one simple, clear view for you guys? So hence is sort of...
just buy a bigger monitor. That way you can have all the...
Yeah, but I don't want all that. I don't want all that.
I've got screen that's still not enough.
Sorry, on this screen, the thing that I can't understand is the 258 up on the top left-hand corner, $258. What does that mean?
That's the XBert risk amount. So that's the unreconciled amount, and that's the money at risk at the moment, a total sum of XBerts.
And is that the, is that the net of debits and credits?
No, it is just the XBerts. Check it out. It is... I was talking to the guys. This was a new line we put in the other day. I need to check with Aaron exactly what it is. It's basically like if there's a GST issue that we found, and it's $10 worth of GST, well then $10 goes into that total. If it's...
So for me, I looked at that and you said unreconciled, so I just figured it was the unreconciled debits and credits on a bank rec.
Yeah, no, it isn't.
Okay.
That's good feedback, but you know, maybe that's wrong. So we sort of say over here you got unreconciled and the XBert potential risk. So that's what those two line items are.
I think it would be clearer if they were on separate
Yeah, they're
lines.
very different, aren't they? And in fact, that too, if that's a risk, you know, that's kind of like needs to be highlighted.
Times by 100.
Yeah, like it needs to have, what are those things? Fireworks coming out of it, you know? It's like, holy shit bags.
Devil's ears.
Yes.
Yeah. Look, there's, like I said, that organisation board's going. There's a new board coming in. And
looking forward to that.
it will have a big shout out for that risk amount.
What does it look like?
Oh, I could show you, but...
There's no one else watching this, Troy. It's not being live streamed or
It is being live streamed, Troy.
Oh, that was risky. I could have had anything up there. But look.
No, well, you went into your photos before.
God, I would never do that.
That's a close look at what it may look like, where you'll be able to assign all your managers easy. So you'll have all your clients down this side. You'll be able to assign your managers. You'll have your expert things. You'll be able to access.
But what if you don't have managers, right? So, for example, I actually like the fact that the clients were across the top, right? Because it's just me. Nobody will work with me.
Stop building the page. Okay. Yes.
See, for me, I actually see this as everyone thinks of teams, but no one ever thinks of the sole person. And the reality is, did you know that 62% of practices are sole practitioners?
Yeah.
We're actually the majority, but no one cares about us.
Well, yeah.
I am a unicorn, you're right. Thank you.
I'm my own team.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a good one there. So we're just going to
Hey Troy, I've just got a question. Have you guys done anything around collaboration of groups? Like I know that I've done some work and given feedback, and I know Michelle and a few others that are here provide that feedback. Have you got any sort of community or groups that you are working with that you meet with regularly? Because I think the thing with what I see in XBert is that there's so many different ways that you can do it. And while it's, there's this best practice and that's the way that we've done it, everybody interprets things slightly differently or has different ideas. And I think when you get like what we've had today, a whole bunch of people throwing out questions and stuff like that, you get great feedback firstly, but also it makes you consider how you're using it. I've thought about so many different things today just because I haven't seen it from that perspective. Yeah. So I'm just wondering, have you got anything like that going? If so, can I get in it? And if you haven't, is that something maybe that you're considering, that kind of community or collaboration group or sharing?
A partner advisory board.
Yeah, but I also think, that's one thing is that a advisor level and a higher level, but also for users like Deb, who has never probably seen this today, wants to just get in and understand how does that all work, but in the terms of how we all use it, or how others already use it, rather than from a software perspective, because I think sometimes the practicalities get lost in those kind of things.
Yeah, so to answer your question, we have set up a Facebook group that you can just join in. We haven't been very active in there at the moment because we've taken an approach just right now to talk. We actually create a form of communication even on Slack channels with some of our users at the moment, and have them there asking us questions day to day, like as we go. So, so that's sort of on a one-on-one basis. So that's been fantastic, and been even making rapid changes based on feedback even through those channels. But yeah, so there's that community chat in our Facebook community.
God, I wasn't even I didn't even like it. I don't know how I missed that. I'm on it now.
We haven't been very active. In it. It doesn't. Everyone's so busy looking at fluffy dogs and things. I don't really pay too much attention to our XBert community channel, but we're ramping that up. That will be getting ramped up, and we are looking to sort of have more of these sessions. I guess is trying to facilitate how many people that we sort of have in these sessions and talk about the future of the roadmap. We're certainly going to be doing one with as many of our users as we can in the next few weeks, because we're sort of at a stalemate with so many great features. It's really about getting everyone back together and go, okay, guys, what's the killer feature that you guys need? What's going to solve all that?
Because I know for me, just as my feedback, when there's so much in it that I got lost where to start, and so it was, and then I can use every excuse under the sun, but COVID, I'll just use that because that's acceptable. And a million other things, and then in the financial year, it struggled to get back to it. But to start it, it was like I just needed that help, which I'm getting with you guys. But I also think that to get started, a lot of the community chats would be a good starting point for people.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, we're definitely, I know Aaron's been at me to set that up amongst a million other things, but yeah, there's definitely one that has to be sorted out because, like I said, it's your product. We want to hear exactly what you're after. So definitely watch this space. I'll share out some. You'll be able to find that community discussion group, so it's in Facebook. So it should be starting there. We'll probably be setting
already joined.
Okay, better make sure.
I've got to go, but this would be really good if I can keep. I've got one particular client who's just email mad. If I can assign him tasks and keep him out of my email box, this would be a big win for me, even just on a task level. Yeah.
Well, that's that's what the tool's built for us. Take away some of those headaches. Try and forward those into XBert, and you'll be able to sort of track them in there. Think about using Hubspot. We are looking to sort of, pull all emails into sort of XBert. There's other products that sort of pull all the emails in, but we just know from from talking to everyone, it just creates such a mess that we sort of took the stance that, why don't you just forward in the ones that you need to deal with, as having to trawl through a mess. So you've sort of got source of what you have to do in XBert alone.
So you can do that. You can forward your emails into it.
Yep, you can. Yep.
Troy, have you brought along with you any special deals for anybody here that would like to have a look at it today?
Look, we run at the moment we're sort of focused on step ahead programs and sort of how we do that. We sit down and run a workshop with you, people on the call have been through that. And we help you sort of set up your processes and your tasks. So if it's just time poor and you can't do it, it's really simple to sort of set up, but it does take your time. So if you need any help at all, we do charge a fee to do that, and we'll chat about that fee on a one-on-one basis. It just depends on how large your sort of processes is. It's sort of a minimal cost, and you're really just paying for your upfront 3-month subscription, which we give you that for free. So once if you want the step ahead program, we give you the details, you sort of commit to that. We'll give you subscription free after that point for 3 months, and then we make sure at the end of the 3 months that everything's working fine for you and sort of move back onto normal business as usual.
So Troy, how do we go about that? I mean, I've spoken to Andrew, but I was, but still haven't quite got there. Shall I reach out to you, or how can I?
Probably just get the communication with Andrew. I'm talking to him all day, every day anyway. And I'll let him know that to chase you up, just to give you the detail. I'm sure he will be giving you details around how that works. The step ahead program.
He has, my negotiation skills haven't been real good though.
Okay, right, all right. You've spoken to me now, so let's sort him out. But yeah, look, we'll take that offline.
Thanks, Troy. I love you. See, that's how you get shit done, guys.
Look, happy to help. We want as many. We're an Australian product. We worked many years building XBert. About 2-3 years behind the scenes building it. It's for you guys, and we want you on it, and we want you telling us exactly what you want. We didn't build it for a fly by night. We built it to be, one of the best products that there ever was. So, yeah, we're hearing that, when Xero calls you up to talk to their enterprise team, it sounds like we're on our way. So it's really exciting times for XBert. So we really encourage everyone to get on that Facebook thing now and talk to us about those features, and we can talk to you back about why we build things, because we did build things based on all our users, and there are ways to think about using them that you might not even have thought of in your practice. So it'd be great to keep talking about those things.
Troy, just talking about the features, roadmaps, ideas, all of that sort of thing, is there somewhere where we can vote, a community, to discuss that, or share or add or anything like that? I mean, I've added the community, but it doesn't seem like there's a single spot to go to because I think a lot of the time for me, when I'm looking at using platforms and things, I want to know where they're heading so that I can then make the decision if it's the right path forward and how that might potentially look down the track with other tools.
Yeah, definitely. We haven't set up a channel for that yet. It is on my list. Aaron's at me for that one. We definitely want to get that community voice channel going at the moment with that roadmap. Generally, we send out this huge, big, long list of experts that everyone votes on, right? And you send back to us, and we have a similar one for the features. But yeah,
do it on your Facebook page. It's a free poll thing you can do.
Yeah, we'll be setting that up. We'll be setting that up as well as the features. I guess we sort of, you've got to be careful. We can't let a billion people tell us what we want to do. I don't get to sleep as it is. So, we drip feed it out, and that'll come. And even with the design of things, like I guess that's sort of my passion. I'm a creative director by trade, building products. So I'm really passionate with that, about trying to make things a bit more intuitive, and we try and get users to test things from time to time, or tell us to move things around or whatever. So they're the things that we want to hear. So that'll be all part of that as well. So
I did notice it was missing some pink.
Using some pink.
Yeah. Very
Yeah, I think I'm the opposite. I just would like black, white, and grey. That's it. No
Really?
colours. Yes.
Carla, you are so not a black, white, or grey person, though.
Really, that's interesting. As I look at it, and my brain just wants to go. It's like I have to focus to look at what is actually being said because the colours make my mind go a little bit loopy. That's just a personal thing. It's nothing against the platform. I love the colours. They make you focus. That's interesting how people perceive it. Maybe we could choose here's a feature idea. You know how like on your computer you can do dark zone or a dark white version or whatever? That would be amazing.
There's a colour button, or I'm going to call it a colour button coming soon.
Just call it a colour button.
And it'll be grey.
Yeah. All shades of grey. 50.
When I wrote my book, its working title was 50 Shades of Pink.
There's a few big ones. Your accounting system's getting lonely, Deborah. I saw that out. Okay.
Now it's getting late. We should probably let Troy go now that we've got to 50 Shades of Grey. I'm not going to ask for any more questions because poor Troy's just spoken for 2 hours straight. He didn't believe me when I said I was going to give him 7 hours to speak today, but you've spoken and shared with us for 2 hours, so we're very appreciative of that. And what I'll do is I do have the details of everyone who joined the session today. So I will, if you have what you want your contact details to be shared with people, however you want people to contact you, Troy, we'll communicate, and then I'll just send that out to people so that they know how to communicate with you, and I'll highlight the Facebook group as well. But we really appreciate you coming on, showing us this tool, this revolutionary tool that we can use. And thank you to everyone who attended, who contributed, who asked questions. And I do think that the app journey is about all of us being in it together and hearing what we want. So we really appreciate the fact that, Troy, that you actually came on and listened to us. I did say, I rang Troy at 3:30 and said, you should come on with beer, Troy. And he's like, he wasn't sure whether he should or not.
Well, but you should have, Troy, because we find, you would have said yes more often. And we all got better after 3 beers as well.
Aaron, I agreed to this. We need it out in 2 weeks. But is there any parting words for us, Troy, before we let you go for the evening?
What's our discount?
Look, just try and get involved with where we're going. I've got to get those channels set up. Jolene's been fantastic. Michelle's given us some great insights to things that we're building. I mean, it's all, for us, it's all about you guys. What do you need? It's really about, a product's not going to be successful if we're building stuff you don't need. So it's about what you need. You should know those people that use the product, how rapid we are to actually implement things. We don't muck around here. We get it done. Sometimes a little bit too quick and have to fix something quickly, but anyway, we fix it as quick as we can. That's the rapid agile development, methodology.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's to use. So it's really just get involved. Tell us what you want. That'd be awesome.
Well, everyone's posting in the side chat area. Thank you very much. They've not jumped on and said that, but thank you very much. And thank you, Jolene, for joining us today and contributing. We really appreciated your insight as well.
Pleasure. If anybody wants to know any more information, happy for them to contact me as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Awesome. Well, I'll let you all go.
You're welcome to come back anytime and just have a chat about bookkeeping and accounting.
With beer. Thank you, Troy. That was amazing.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
What day is it, Nicole?
It's Bring Your Poet to Work Day.
But poets piss off early. It's Thursday.
I've got an accounting poem for you if you like.
Oh, yes.
She works in accounting at the factory. She loves counting numbers and her salary. She has it made. till she got weighed. Obviously hates counting calories. So there you go.